Perfect. Excellent stuff. So I think we can get started now. So as always, with any of our webinars and our sessions moving forward, they are always going to be recorded. So you can always request that from myself or any of our team, and also do subscribe on our YouTube. But thank you ever so much for everyone joining us today. My name is Chris, and I'm one of the educators and content creators here at Shortcuts. And today I'm very pleased. I'm going to be joined by Mr. Steve Hilliard, a business coach, author, and of course, owner of two successful salons. So it's fantastic to have you with us, Steve. I know you're going to be sharing lots of your wisdom and the fear of upsell and everything that we're going to be joining us. So if you're ready, Steve, if you want to take the floor and introduce yourself, anything like that, and we shall get started.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you everybody that's joined. Yeah, my name's Steve Hilliard. I've been a salon owner for 27 years, still got the salons, they're running. I stepped out of them about 10 years ago to actually concentrate on my business, not in my business. And then about 6 years ago, I went to a mentor to understand my business, and then that mentor said to me, you need to become a coach. So I wrote the book, Do Something Different in Your Salon Today, and then that catapulted me onto the coaching floor about 6 years ago. And Chris, I love it because it's all about giving back. It's all about making people realize that there are ways out, and it's not as tough as maybe people think it is. I know it's tough out there, I realize that, obviously, but yeah, so that's me. And I still do about 8 clients a week, but I do charge them a lot of money to see me.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So, you know, I still do a bit of hair. I still do all my appraisals for my team. I'm still involved with the salons. I haven't stepped right out, but they run without me, which is the beautiful thing about the systems and processes that we've got. And some of those we're going to share today as well.
Perfect. Excellent stuff.
So the fear of upselling and how to overcome it. I mean, I've not met any stylist that I've employed for the last 27 years or anybody along my coaching journey that has had a stylist that is really comfortable about upselling. And I think the problem is that we, as an industry, we're selling everything we do on a day-to-day basis, and we don't realize that we do. And we need to be showing and talking and engaging. And we're going to talk about language and how you can open up a client a little bit more, or about how to talk to the client about upselling very easily. And I'm going to show some systems and processes that we've put in place many moons ago, which allows my team to do it. And they are exceptionally good at doing that. And that's something that is part of the way we pay them, which is something else we're going to talk about a little bit later on. So, Chris, if we go on to the what is the fear factor?
Perfect.
So the fear factor, thank you. I think the fear factor comes from the stylists and therapists, because I look after hair and beauty salons, so it's across both. I think what it is, they think the client doesn't want to pay. The client might be talking about their financial situation, and maybe their husband or their job is going to be possibly, they're going to be made redundant or whatever, so they can't afford it. But the thing is about our industry, it's all about feel factor. So with clients coming in and having that special moment for an hour with their stylist or their therapist, it's all about making them feel really good. So the fear factor should come away, because you should be automatically talking about what you're doing and the reasons why you're doing. And we're going to go a little bit brief into consultation a little bit later on, because that's where it all comes from. But the fear factor is that I think the employees don't they don't think the client wants the product or can afford it. So they're already putting a barrier in front.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to open up somebody on a, you know, because it is selling, it is sales. And I've done sales training, and I do sales training for salons. I do sales training for different type of industries as well, because it's all very similar. So if we move on to the next slide, please, Chris. So if you click, here we go. Before you can truly think different, you need to understand there's only one reason why most salons struggle to retail. If you click again, please, Chris. Stylists and therapists are afraid of rejection. If you don't recommend anything, their clients can't reject them by saying no. So if I'm talking to you, Chris, for instance, and I was doing your hair, and I'm not actually talking about the products that I'm using and the shampoo and the conditioner, I won't get rejected.
Yeah.
So instead of me going through that, we might use a wax or we might use a powder or something to give you more volume, and this is the before and this is the after, and would you like to take it away with you because you like the look of what I've done, you're opening that client up by saying, would you like to take it away? And then it becomes your decision as a client whether I want to take it away or not. And I think that it's the fear of being rejected, because nobody wants to be rejected. Nobody wants to go for a mortgage or a rental or finance for a car and be rejected, because that's just the human way. We don't want rejection. So I think what it is, there's systems that we put in place a long time ago that I basically got my team to do, and we're going to be talking that a little bit later, which any salon can put in place quite easy, and they can literally just move along to get that client, get that stylist or therapist more interested in what they're actually doing. And actually, by opening the client up, you're going to get the results. So none of your staff come into the hair or beauty industry to sell products, but they're selling themselves every day. So the problem is that we think we're not selling, but we are, because we've just sold our last haircut or our last color or our last facial. So it's very, very difficult to get that across to your team, but there are ways to open them up. So if we pop on to the next slide, please. And as we go along, Chris, obviously, if anybody wants to put any questions in the chat, I'm more than happy to sort of, go along with that as well. So it's all about the language. It's all about the language that we speak. Our team are taught to, during the process of the consultation and say the haircut, to tell the client 3 times how many weeks they recommend you should come back. So I was cutting your hair, Chris, I would say at least 3 to 4 weeks. So I'd ask you, how often do you have your hair cut? You might say 3 weeks. So I'm going to say, I need to see you in 3 weeks' time, at least 3 times. And then at the end, when I show you the back, I'm going to say, I'm really glad you've enjoyed the haircut and, the service. Would you like to take any products away? And I'd like to see you in 3 weeks' time. So then the wording that we use is, when would you like to come back? Not, do you want to make another appointment? It's got to be when. So it's the what, whens, and whys. So when would you like to come back? Now, I've told you 3 times that I need to see you then. So that's embedded in your brain. But if I say, when would you like to come back, Chris? Or do you want to give me a call? Your brain hears, do you want to give me, I'm going to give you a call.
I'm going to give you a call, yeah.
And a lot of people do this. And sometimes occasionally our team will say the same thing. No, it's when would you like to come back? Zip, let the client talk. And they might say, well, I can't come back in 3 weeks' time. I'm on holiday, or I've got a shift pattern. Let's book it for 4 weeks or 5 weeks, whatever it is. So again, it's talk about the language. So if we move on to the next slide, and this is sort of takes us through a brief of how the system sort of works. So using the correct language opens up people. So this is a general sales sort of a training exercise. So finding out the why becomes the most important. So how many people on the call today will say to the client or their team, where did you hear about us? Why did the client click on the booking page and pick you? So they would then go to your socials or your web page, your website, and they pick your service, and they're going to pick you. So the bio of that stylist. So we ask why? Why did you pick me? Well, you're a specialist in graduated bobs, you're a specialist in balayage, you're a specialist in facials, or whatever it might be. So that's the why. So ask them, where did you find out about us, and why me? So that comes to, how did you hear it? Was it on Instagram? Was it on an email? Was it just through Google? And why did you pick me? And I think these are things that people are scared about. But it's all about building that relationship with the stylist and the client very early on, because they've picked you, they decided to spend the money with you in the salon. So why me? And this is known as the qualifying. It qualifies the impact. So why do they need that product? So later on, we're going to go into sort of consultation and how we would do it. So understanding what a client needs and what you've got as a solution is the biggest thing that I have with salons. So it's getting the stylist or therapist to say, you know, how's your hair been? It's very fine. I can't do anything with it. So what do you use at home? I use X. Okay, so I'm going to use a volumizing shampoo, a volumizing conditioner. So what do you use on your hair to volumize your hair? I don't use anything. Well, I'm going to use a root boost because you told me you want volume. I'm going to use a volumizing mousse. And you're basically asking the question, listening, which I think a lot of people find that hard, listening to the client and then saying, I've got a solution for that. So qualifying the impact, why do they need that product? Digest that they are listening. So digest what they are telling you and listen. It's really important to listen and be interested in them as they think they care more, because they will care more if you're listening. And that builds a huge trust. That literally, the trust of us being in this bubble. When you're in the chair, you're in a bubble, and the client's bubble, and you're actually within their bubble. So there's a massive trust in there. So don't try and sell, refer, and there's a huge difference, because you've asked the question and you've given me an answer, and I said, okay, this is your problem, this is my solution. Let's try that. Give your client an in-depth consultation. So our team are asked, what shampoo do you use at home? What conditioner do you use at home? What styling do you use at home? What do you finish your hair with? Do you use an anti-humidity? Do you use a hairspray? Do you not use anything? What brush do you use? What size brush do you use? Do you use irons, straighteners, wand? Do you use heat protection? And this is all done at the chair, sitting down face to face. This is not standing over the chair, because we all know if you stand over your client, you've got more power. They're going to feel like they're a little bit, you know, more scared and a little bit intimidated, but they're actually being, you know, sitting with them like you would as a doctor. That consultation becomes more intimate. And we're going to talk about the client profile cards a little bit later on, which is also what we use. Telling you need to come back in X amount of weeks. So during that process, like I said earlier, you've got to tell your client at least 3 times, if not twice. Twice is fine, 3 times is better. And then you have to close your client. Any sales process, there has to be a closing. So that is mirror. Oh my God, it's amazing. I love what you've done. That's great. Would you like to take any products away today? That's it. And it's a yes or no. We're lucky. We use Unite and Joico, and they have samples. So if I was doing you, Chris, I would give you a little sample and you can take that away free of charge.
Awesome.
Right. So that's like adding value. So we'll talk about adding value a little bit later. But then I would say, I'm glad you've enjoyed the experience, and I really like your hair. You're glad you like your haircut. Would you recommend me to family and friends? And we'll talk about that a little bit later, because the percentage on that is huge. So would you like to take any products away today? Glad you enjoyed your service. Please recommend me to family and friends. This is all about a huge trust. So we know a client needs to come at least 3 times, because you've got that real trust. But 3 times really, you've got them in the door. And then if you ask your client to refer you, and I was talking to someone, must have been Thursday last week, one of my clients, coaching clients, and we're talking about building the business and marketing and people, Instagram, and how great Instagram and all this. But you have X amount of clients coming through your door, 60, 80, 100, 120, depends on the size of your salon, right? Why aren't we asking those clients, would you refer me? Because you have a 68%, and this goes for any business, Chris, this is not just hairdressing. If I was a plumber, a builder, a carpenter, or whatever, if you said, would you recommend me family and friends? You have a 68% chance at some point them leaving your building and being referred.
Wow.
And do we do that every single time? Probably not.
No.
I would ask, why not? Because if you've already got something coming in the door who loves what you do, why not refer them?
Would you look to incentivize that? I'm just thinking for people watching, if you were looking at doing like a referral friend, would you look to incentivize that?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, so we do the classic. It's called a client reward underneath recommend a friend.
yeah.
So we do 50% off for both parties. You can
Oh,
do what you want.
yeah.
So 50% off cut and finish. You know, in the hair world, cut and finish is the most popular service, and in the beauty world, it's usually facials.
Yeah.
So you can do whatever you want. You can take £10 off, £20 off, 10%, whatever you want. But you have to think. Let's say I charge £50 for a cut and blow dry, and I say to you or another client, refer me. Where am I going to get a new client for £25 for free? You know what I mean? So the amount of cost of advertising, yes, you can use Instagram and that's free, but how many people do you get traction on new clients? And I was talking to a digital company last week about looking at some digital stuff for our salons, and they couldn't tell me exactly exactly of how many clients Instagram will give back to my salon.
Wow.
Because they can't unless you ask every new client that comes through the door, where did you hear about us?
Where did you hear about us? Yeah.
Because there's no traction on it. It's just impossible to track, and they said there's no way, Steve, of us actually sort of giving you a data of what that is. So why not ask the clients that are sitting in our chair or in our beauty salons? Why not ask them? If we pop on to the next slide, please. So if you click, that's it, lovely. So you might as well click all of them through, please, if that's okay. Thank you very much. So do you believe your staff's concentration skills are good? So this is what I do in in-salon session with salons. I'm coaching, or I can do it as a separate entity. So I come in and we do a whole session, a half-day session of about consultation and how we can look at paying them in a different way and bonuses and stuff. So most people on here that will be salon owners will believe their team's consultations are good or brilliant or great or not so good, whatever that is. But this was done in 2023. This is for another company that I've used, and this is the data that they've told me. Do you know that 97% of stylists surveyed in 2003 believe they delivered a full consultation? So we're at 100 stylists in front of me now. 97 would say, I do a great consultation. Get only 7% of those clients, so 100 clients that came in. So this was done through KMS in California. They literally did a percentage of the salons that they work with, and they literally interviewed stylists and interviewed clients. 7 out of that 100 said they thought they received one. So you've got your stylist thinking 97%. I give a good consultation, yet the client saying 7%. And even worse, and this is a staggering, and when I always get this, a massive, oh my God, from stylists. Even worse, 68% of clients want to know the product their stylists are using, but are too embarrassed to ask. So 68 clients, say out of 100, want to know what we're using on the hair, but won't ask us. Which is staggering. And your clients will crave education, that's a known fact. Again, a marketing genius, Jay Abraham, I read a lot about him, I studied, worked alongside him as well, and it's like, it's amazing about the craving of education, and we have got all this knowledge and we don't always do it. We have a 60-minute window for a cut and blow dry, because I feel my team can't deliver our 4-point guarantee, which we can show a little bit later. They can't do it in 45 minutes, Chris. It's physically impossible. Do a proper consultation, nice shampoo, come through, do the service. So to provide that education and the knowledge, we give them an hour. We charge them a higher price to do that, but we make sure that we give that education. Provide them all the educational knowledge you need, and they will buy from you, and they will. They will not go anywhere else, and that's the fact. And there's probably people online thinking right now that are on this thing, yeah, but they buy it on the internet, Steve. That's fine. That happens. But they aren't part of the SHH brand, the Steve Hilliard Hairdressing brand. The clients that buy through us are our brand, and there will be people that look for it cheaper. And I know there'll be people online now saying, yeah, but clients, but that's not a huge percentage. That's going to be a percentage of our business as well. I know it happens. I've seen it, I've heard about it. But the clients that buy from us, apart from the brand, are part of our 4-point guarantee. So it's all about having the systems and process in place and having a true brand that says, number 4 says, we're going to educate you on how to look after your hair and make sure you know how to look after it when you go home. So that is telling the client and my stylist that they are allowed to talk about, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So I know there will be, because I hear it from my salons occasionally, I hear it from other people I work with. Yeah, but they can buy it online. That's fine. If they buy it online, they buy it online. But we know there's so many fakes out there.
Yeah.
We know there's a brand within Joico called Defy Damage. A client of ours bought it, looked the same, didn't smell the same, wasn't the same color, and didn't even have the right wording on it. She brought it in and showed us, and she has not bought anything offline now.
Yeah.
She will only buy it from us. But there are other companies out there that are getting away with it, and I know it's tough for the industry. I'm not saying it's easy, but I think what happens with stylists and therapists that as soon as a client says no, they shut down.
Yeah.
Why should I talk to my next client about products when this client said no? And then that's the rejection. They don't want another fear of rejection, someone saying no. So it comes back to consistency. So we have to be consistent on what we're doing with every single client. So if you click to the next slide, please. So this is our consultation process. So this was done as a group. So we sat down and we went through everybody's consultation, and we wrote down as a team what everybody said. And this is a group session that you can do with anybody. You can do in any salon. An hour and a bit. Go through the consultation and see which is the best points you think work. So the ones that we chose as a team is, are you happy? You know, Chris, I said I'm going to get a knock at the door. I'm going to get a knock at the door right now. Give me 2 seconds.
No worries. So just while we sort of pause there for a quick break, if anybody does have any questions they'd like to pop them in a chat, feel free to pop them in now, and then when Steve gets back we can always answer those. Or if not, if you just want to just have yourself just a quick break, make yourself comfortable, anything like that. But yeah, Steve should just be 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll be straight back.
And that's what live's all about.
Perfect. We were just seeing if there's any questions coming through, Steve, or anything like that. But I think we're all good. I'll just give it a sec, but none so far. So that's great. So we can crack.
So we all look at we looked at everybody, and as a team, we all agreed what we thought the best was. And we don't want our team to be robots, because this industry is very you need to express yourself. But these are the ones that we picked. Are you happy with your hair, and what do you envision with your hair to look like? Now, this comes from a 19-year-old, and we absolutely love this. If you said to your client, what do you envision your hair to look like? What a great consultation. So I won't go through this completely, Chris, but this is all about asking the shampoo, asking the conditioner, asking the styling, asking the finish, commentary hairdressing, talking about the products as you go, all the basics, explain about the products, how to use the hairdryer, how to use the nozzle, excuse me. Are you using heat protection? And to the best of my knowledge, give everybody all of the information, because everybody on this call and all of their teams will be hugely experienced. We need to literally offload that to customers. Wow moment, oh my God, it looks amazing. Would you like to take any products away that I've used on your hair? And then it's the, would you refer me to family and friends? So if you're doing that consistently, if you're working let's say a 10-hour day, and you had 8 clients in, and you did that to every single client every hour, and you followed the script, you would get results. And I've even proven this in a salon that I did a session with last year. I've been coaching them for about 6 months and did a in-salon session. And the team were really, really positive. And we got to this bit and they say, yeah, but clients, they don't buy. So I stayed the afternoon and I consulted their clients and I went through the script and they bought. Not everybody, but they were more engaged because of the amount of knowledge that I was giving. Fortunately, it was a Joico and Unite salon, so I knew the products really well. So I was able to give my knowledge back. So again, it's about how you open the client up. Going back to the first early slides, is opening that client up gives you huge information that you just need to say, this does this, you want to achieve that, you're going to achieve it by using this product. And basically, most clients are having 5 products: shampoo, conditioner, styling, another wet product, and maybe a finishing anti-humidity or a hairspray. So at least 4 or 5 products on each client. If you're doing 5 clients a day, that's 25 products that are going through the salon. I'm not saying you're going to sell 25 products. What I'm saying is you have a high percentage of getting at least 1 or 2 sold. And if you look at a 2 out of 10 clients buying, that's going to give you a 20% return. Next slide, please.
Just quick, sorry, Steve, with that, would you just on the back of that bit, it was quite good about upselling and things like that. Would you ever look to sort of run not like competitions with your staff, but say who could sell the most amount of this product or who can sell the most amount in a week? Would you ever look for anything like that? Because I'm just thinking if people are listening, thinking it might be like, well, it might be a way to get over the fear initially if we can sort of do like some friendly competition. Would you ever go down that avenue at all?
Yeah, we do a lot. Yeah. Now each of my stylists I've got at least 7 KPIs each week anyway. So it's the amount of clients they do, the productivity percentage, how many products they should be selling at their level.
Yeah.
So depending on how high you are up the level, it's a higher percentage. And treatment, so what we call is the £10 treatments, like the moisturizing treatment. So they've got targets anyway, but we do chase the tenner, which is a great laugh, that's good fun. Tenner out the till, where the last person to sell the product gets that £10, that always gets them going. But we're going to go on to the wage calculator and how we pay them. And I think this is the key thing a little bit later on, Chris. I know there's nobody out there that runs around my salon when they sold a £30 shampoo and they were going to get £3 for it.
Yeah. This
whole 10% needs to go.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. And I changed this about pre-COVID, so it's probably about 4 or 5 years ago. One of my senior girls came to me and said, love what you do, can you look at the way you pay us? We were paying them 35% of turnover, ex-VAT. And I've literally put all of the services and retail under one number. And we'll go about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
So it drives them to sell because their hourly rate does this. And I'll go into that a little bit later. So you just click onto this slide. So going back to the why, let's find out about the why, because the why is, I mean, everybody's come across, I would tell everybody to go to YouTube and see a guy called Simon Sinek and find out and listen to the one about the why. And I've actually listened to the podcast myself. He was interviewed by Stephen Bartlett. I listened to that this morning on my morning walk. Amazing. So positive and so interesting. Find out the why, because I think everybody loses their why. And when I went to the mentor, I'd lost my why for my salons. I'd lost my whole why. Why am I doing this? And then I found my why, which was the coaching, because he said, you need to start doing this because this is, you understand it. So I got my why back, and I think everybody loses their why. And, it's tough out there. I know it's not easy. Please don't think I'm saying it's easy out there, guys. I know it is tough. But why do clients come to you? Have you surveyed your clients recently? You know, why do clients trust you? Why do clients believe in you? And why your clients, they're in the palm of your hand. So any client in the palm of your hand, you literally need to close like that. So it's going through the systems of the consultation, shampoo, conditioner, styling, the whole stuff we talked about earlier. And the closer comes to the clients are in the palm of our hands. Would you like to take anything away? And clients will never leave you. And this is my biggest thing about marketing in our industry, is that why would a client go to another salon? The only reason a client goes to another salon is wet collar a couple of times being shampooed, lipstick on the cup, bad haircut, bad color, bad interaction, salon's a bit grimy, dirty, whatever. A few of those things, and then they'll move to someone else. But what they'll move to is someone that they know. They'll ask them where they're going. Yes, they might use Instagram. They might scroll through and think, balayage on this salon's amazing. It's not far from me. I'll go there. So we all need the Instagram. The clients will ask other people. You know, if you need a plumber, Chris, you're not going to Google him. You're going to ask a mate, have you got a plumber? Because you're not going to trust the Google reviews or whatever it might be. You're going to say, look, does anybody know that a plumber?
Yeah.
And you'll go to someone that you. So the why, try and find out what your why is in your salon, and why do your team come to work, and reignite them on a separate staff meeting, and literally talk to them and go, you know, why are you in this? Why, you know, why do you come to work for us? Or do you want to do it on a one-to-one or whatever? I'll find out their why, and then try and use that to emulate your marketing. So how do you get that why across to your clients? And we've got our 4-point guarantee, which we're literally going to go on to next to, please, Chris.
I think, sorry, Steve, just to emulate on that, I think that the why aspect is massive, because even just listening to there, it made me think as well. And I would definitely think if you ask all of those whys, that would certainly, me as a stylist, would make me feel more confident, because we spoke about at the very beginning, we're scared about that rejection, we're scared about, you know, someone saying no to us. But if we actually, like you said, why do clients come to you? Or if we're asking why, that's building confidence in ourselves, isn't it? Why do they trust us? And this is probably going to sound a crazy analogy, but we've all sort of potentially in a relationship for, you know, why is that person with us? And it's the same thing. It's building that confidence back into us. If we know why those clients come to us, why they believe in us, why they trust us, well, we've got all of those reasons. They're there, like you said, they're in the palm of our hand. We can educate them, we can upsell. So I think it's not, you know, we really should look at it from that perspective. You know, they're coming to me as well, not just maybe the business or whatever it may be. They are coming to me as well. So I think that's massively important. That's very, very good.
Again, I'll go back. Please listen to Simon Sinek about listening to his video. It's not that long, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. It's about the why, and he lost his why factor and finding out the why factor. And you're absolutely right, Chris. You know, until we get into this information, we won't know. And our why is born on the next slide. So if you come into the next slide, we surveyed our clients with certain questions that really opened them up. And there's 4 things that came out of our why, Chris, and it was, we listen, we give you the time, we give you the advice, and we educate you. And that's what our clients said about us. So the survey that I've got literally will open. I put oaths, I put promises into salons. I've even put this into another salon up north, because it was literally came back more or less the same as us. So I said to Claire, you have that, you take that away, you use that, because it's the same as what, you know, what we've got. And the thing is, when this is on the outside of our salon, Chris, so it's on one of our big windows. When you walk by, you can't miss it. And when you come in the door, it's about the Steve Hilliard difference. So I love the Steve Hilliard difference just behind. When a client sits down in the chair, is in between each station. When you go and get your hair washed and you look back, you have no choice but to read it as a client. So this gives my stylist the confidence, because number 4, we guarantee you leave the hair, when you leave the salon, you know how to look after your hair until we see you again. This gives the stylist the confidence to talk about products because it's in our brand. If I said to you, Chris, Apple, what do you think is a brand? What comes to mind when I say Apple?
Massive, innovative, global, just everything.
Classy.
Yeah, like celebrity.
Ferrari.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Red, fast, nice. And this is what a salon needs to do. And this is what I've been concentrating on the last couple of months with salons I'm working with, branding. You don't need to change your name. You don't need to change your font. I've had the same font. It's a brush grip font for 27 years. I don't need to change it, but I changed our perception of our clients. So when you go to our website, stevehilliardhairdressing.co.uk, it says you have the picture of this woman throughout the whole of the website, and she's looking at you with the whole of the site. And it says, does your stylist listen? At Steve Hilliard Hairdressing, we guarantee it. And then you've got a 4-point guarantee. So you have to know how for this tool to work. You can't just put this up and say, right, this is great. There's a whole system behind the whole sort of traction of it. But this is what makes us different. And it gives my team the confidence to talk about it, because I know there is still a fear factor in most stylists and most therapists about talking to clients about products. And there shouldn't be, because if it's written down and a client sees it, it gives you more confidence to talk about it. And this is what made a massive change to us, huge change, because we talked to the team, we did a survey. So I said, after we'd done this, I created this. And I said, look, this is what our clients are saying about us. This is us. So I put this wording in play. So we listen carefully. We guarantee we give the time. So at 60 minutes for an appointment, we never feel rushed. We advise, we talk about hair color, haircut. Do you want to drop fringe? Does the fringe suit me? All the sort of basics within a consultation. And then we educate them on what we use. You pop to the next one, please.
We got one question to you, which I think is actually really quite a poignant question. And we may cover it, but just while we've got it. Is there sort of a level of accountability you hold your staff to? Is it like written into a contract, this side of thing, or anything like that? How would
Great question. Yeah. Love that question. So going back to our salons are very structured. I'm not going to use the word corporate because we're not a corporate business, but it's very structured. So we have appraisals every 3 months. We have accountability. My team can get promoted to the next level on certain KPIs. So they know if they get to these KPIs in 3 months, over a 3-month period, we're going to promote them. And when we promote them, they're going to earn more money. Simple as that. The accountability comes to these amount of clients you're seeing, you should be seeing in a week. This is the productivity we're looking at you to be at. This is the amount of retail we're selling. This is the amount of treatments that we're selling. This is your average bill. And this is what we're expecting on your turnover. And in 27 years, Chris, I've only put one person on a performance management.
Okay.
One person. And it was back then, it was 8 weeks. So the National Hairdressing Federation was the company I was with at the time. And they said, okay, you've already got targets in place. So that we had targets in place even prior to even going to see my coach and mentor years ago. And they said, I want you to reduce the targets and see if she hits them. Within 4 weeks, because we sat down every week, Chris, and went through the targets. She was nowhere near them. She handed a notice in. She left. So it wasn't really for her.
Yeah.
She'd qualified, she just good hairdresser, but she wasn't really, it just didn't fit our brand. And that's the question. Well, she wasn't accountable. So she had to go. She literally decided to go. So if a team member isn't performing, I have a number 2, Tracy, who looks after my salons for me on a day-to-day basis. Tracy will have a word, and then she'll come back to me, and then we'll and we'll look at, we're maybe reducing targets. But they are accountable to what they're doing, and they've got colour percentage targets, bonuses, rebooking percentage bonus, client retention bonuses, and they get bonuses on top of their increased salaries as well. So they want to perform because they see that there is a guide. So if you come in, so we've literally had a new stylist start today, literally started today. So she's come at a certain level. During her a chat with Tracy, we'll talk, she knows about what she needs to do, and she's got to build. It will take time, we know that. But if she's not accountable to that, she needs to be brought in and have a one-to-one and say, look, so the great thing about my system is that, and that's one thing I do when I coach people, is sometimes I say, you're overstaffed, or this person isn't performing, and this is how much they're costing you. So we need to put them on a performance. And you can bring these targets very, very easy in and all that sort of stuff. So yes, we look at if they're not performing, Chris, they have to have a word. And if we want to walk them out the door, we can. And I think that's something our industry is scared to do, because we know it's not easy to get staff. But you're better off with a smaller team that are more productive than a bigger team. I learned that lesson many moons ago. So get the team more productive so they're earning more money, so they want to earn even more, and allow them. So I hope that answers the question. If it didn't, that person's happy to come back in and say, I want a little bit more detail or whatever. But yes, they're counted. They have targets, because I can't pay somebody anymore if they're not bringing the money in.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where I am a numbers man, and I am very different to most people in our industry, because I love the hairdressing and I love the creativity, but I understand the numbers and I understand the KPIs, because that's what's made my business where it is today. So, and I think if you get that, and it goes back to culture. So if you think, go back, Chris, not go back, but go back to where we're thinking about slides and having the team together, building a consultation that is your brand. So it's the SHH consultation, not my brand. It's their brand, our brand. So you've got the right culture. It's the buy-in, you know. Tracy will have a 10-minute conversation with everybody during the week about their figures. And if they're not performing, we're going to sit there and say, is everything okay? I had one years ago where a girl, unfortunately, had fallen out of her mum massively, and her figures were doing this. Yeah. So Tracy spoke to her, and then I ended up chatting. I said, look, don't worry about your figures. Just come in and do your job. Just enjoy it. Don't worry about your figures. And as soon as she made up with her mum, her figures did this again. Yeah. Because something was going on exterior that we had no idea, but it was affecting her work. But we allowed her to have that time and space just to, you know, just to work and no pressure.
But I think that there's a really, really good point. And I think as well, like a lot of what I'm sort of paraphrasing, but you were saying there's a lot of KPIs, which certainly sounds like you're obviously holding them accountable, but you're certainly meeting them definitely more than halfway with the targets that they can get, the commission, everything on top. So I think it is important if people are watching, they're thinking, oh, I don't want to have that maybe conversation, or I don't have a floor manager or whatever it may be. You know, letting them know that they are accountable, but at the same time, they do have targets and they will make more money, and they, you know, they've got commission, things like that. On the flip side, that if they do more staff or more retail, I think it's certainly important for people to be aware of that.
I cannot tell you how many people over the years that we've looked at and how many staff they've got and what they're bringing in. And when you do the maths, which is not something that our industry enjoys, they don't enjoy, hair and beauty industry don't enjoy numbers. But any business needs to know where they are, and you need to know where your individual stylists are or your therapists are. And once you know that and you understand how it works, it's really simple. It's really simple. I've got clients that are writing their own spreadsheets. So I turn up for a call and they've written the spreadsheet, and it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. You've written your own spreadsheet, which is great, because they need to have the Excel sheets, and we'll find out where people are. But I think there's a little bit of scarcity there of like, oh, I don't want I don't want to put her under pressure or him under pressure because they're going to leave.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if they're not performing, let them leave. If you're a 4-based salon and you've got 3 people that are performing and 1 that isn't, that's bringing your profits down. You're better off for that person to go, let the other 3 people be busier, and then grow your business again and get to a certain KPI level and then employ someone else.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we did. So, you know, I think there's a scarcity there. I think there's people are scared of doing that sort and having those conversations, but it's knowing what those numbers need to be, Chris. And I think that's something that, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about the great reports that have, I mean, I've been with Shortcuts nearly 20 years, right? And I'm a massive Shortcuts fan for lots of reasons, but mainly the reason is the data. It's one of the only systems, and I've worked with all different systems because of working with different people, that gives you the data more or less on one sheet, and we're going to show that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Right, Chris, this brings us great on to this, really, I think. So staff issues. Staff leaving, we know that. I've had people leave, I've had people build sheds in their back garden and all that sort of stuff. That's fine, it's happened to me. Staff pay, motivation targets, keeping staff happy. People talk about VAT. I'm afraid I don't think VAT is ever going to come down. If it does, it's great. And all the people that are championing that in this industry, I'm behind you. If it does, that's superb. But I can't see it happening. My opinion. If it does, great. And that will be down to some amazing people in Orange that are championing for it. So I'm right behind them. Rent a chair against employing. We don't do any rent a chairs. All of my team are employed. Staying profitable, increasing profit, white space. People are petrified about white space. Now we're going to talk about white space in a little bit more detail, a little bit later on, about how I pay my team and how it works. Marketing, what works best for you? Look at what's working for you and what isn't working. I still think email is really strong, and we use email if we get somebody cancel and we want to fill that space. Our socials don't seem to work particularly well by putting that up. But if you've got a huge following, that might work for you. So look what's worked, and if it's not working, change your subject line, tweak it. Because if you just tweak your subject line, you could get more interaction. Even tweaking what you're writing down as well, because there's no point doing marketing class. Is quite a Hayley. I don't mean this because Hayley's amazing because she's in the marketing for Shortcuts, but I think the marketing, you can't do the same marketing, Chris, if it's not working. You have to change what you're doing, don't you? You can't follow the same. If you're literally following the same things and you're not making any changes and not getting results, you have to change what you're doing. So even if you change the subject line, change the subject line or change what's in there, just slightly change it, and it might get more interaction. So find out what works for you. Understanding your numbers, so important in any business, and increasing the profit.
I think
these are all the challenges. All the challenges that the UK, I know UK, I've worked with them international, but UK are having.
Definitely, just the bit you said there, Steve, is incredible. It's something so specific, but you said about the marketing, what works best. I was speaking to somebody the other day. They were utilizing they were using our cloud-based. They moved on to our Marketing Plus marketing suite, which had a lot more details. And they found they had more engagement and less unsubscribes. All they did was they simply changed an image, and something very simple was in the subject line. They used it's very specific. They used a personalized field, which therefore, rather than just saying, I can't remember the exact title, but it became more engagement because it looked like it was going specifically to that client. And that was just something very specific we did in our Marketing Plus. We just added that personalized field in, and it took us just 2 to 3 minutes to do. Then we spoke a couple of days, a week later, and they were like, oh, we're getting less unsubscribes, we're getting more people, discussing our newsletter and things like that, purely because the image changed, and it just had that more punchy subject title. So yeah, it can be something so simple.
Even putting an emoji in the subject line, that is something that again, it's data, it's from marketing people that I've worked with, that helps the engagement, that helps the, you know, yeah, so it's so important, you know, just changing stuff. There's no point banging the same drum because you're just going to get the same rhythm, you know. You need to change what you're doing. So, and it's hard, right? Humans don't like change. Nobody likes change, but you have to. Right, next slide, please. So, wage calculator. So this is how we pay our team. So, as I mentioned earlier, somebody came to me, one of my senior team came to me and said, I love what you do, but is there a way of changing it? So let's look at how you can increase your salary. So what we've done is we've put services, so haircuts, colours, all that, under the same umbrella as the retail and what I call the £10 treatment, so your £10 moisturising treatment. And we don't pay commission. We pay a higher base rate, so basic pay, so hourly rate. It's completely different. But we're going to go into some stats in a minute because it works. Because my team will come in the morning, Chris, and they'll look at the value of future appointments, how much I'm bringing in, these are how many hours I'm available to customers. They'll divide that into that number, and it gives them a number, and that's like how much they're bringing in per hour. And on the sheet, the wage calculator, it will tell them the hourly rate. Each level is guaranteed a base rate. So it depends where you are, you're guaranteed a definite rate. But to accelerate your basic hourly rate, you upsell more. So when I say see less clients, this is not about doing loads of clients. We've taught our team to work smart, not hard. We don't want them any more than 85% productive across a 3-month period. And if we do, we promote them. We want to lose a few clients to the next level. They'll gain more white space slightly, but they get a higher client coming in at a higher price.
Yeah.
And we know they're productive at 85%. That's my little KPI. So we'll put them up. Get more money, so the base rate goes up, but because their turnover has all gone up, their cut and blow dries have gone up £5, their colours have gone up £5, they're then turning over more money, so their base rate, they can earn more. So educate clients so that what they want to purchase from you. So we talked about the consultation. We know that clients want to purchase but are afraid to ask, so we need to be talking to our clients about the products that we're using. So we give you what you do so, but don't be afraid to ask. If you pop to the next slide, please, Chris. This is the process. So the team have control of their hourly rate. We've just paid somebody $19.94 an hour. One girl got $26.94 for working 1 day. So she was on holiday for 2 days, so she got a holiday pay, but she got for 1 day she came into the staff room. I got my hair cut on Friday, it wasn't working. She said, "Do you see my hourly rate?" And I said, "It was amazing." She's buzzing because her base rate is near enough. I think her base rate is $12.60 guaranteed. She $26.94 an hour. So each stylist have their own level. We pay a higher rate, engage, and this is what I created when this team member came to me quite a few years ago. Because going back to I sell a £30 bottle of shampoo and get £3 does not make anybody run around the salon going, "Woo woo, I've just sold the shampoo and I'm getting £3." Because you've got to take VAT off of that. Yep. Then you're going to get slightly taxed on it. It's pointless. And this is what my team said to me. What can you do? So add both salaries and retail under one number, which turns the team's hourly rate up. Team are more engaged and want to sell more. So going back to our brand, the 4-point guarantee, they want to sell more because they're allowed to sell more because the brand is telling them that they can sell more. And this is great for mortgages and rentals or any kind of, because your hourly rate average will increase. Okay, so when you do it across, when a stylist is on holiday, it should be the last 52 weeks. It used to be the last 3 months, but you have to go back 52 weeks, and you pay them the higher hourly rate or the higher commission if you're paying a commission. So quite a few of my girls this year have got mortgages. They're on much higher rates than what their basic is. And the mortgage company like it because it's a guaranteed basic, not, oh, I get £200 average commission, because commission is fluctuating, right?
Yeah.
This was like a big selling point to my team. And I'll be really honest, because I'm a very honest guy. I told my team, this is what I'm going to propose. So we ran it alongside their old system. Out of all of the team across both salons, there was one girl that came to me and says, I'm not quite sure, Steve, whether I want to go across this system. I'll give it a try. But if not, can I go back? I said, yeah, of course you can. But she stayed on that system purely because she could see her hourly rate increase by doing no more clients, but upselling to that. So that also, I'm not overly fussed about white space because I know my team can upsell hundreds of pounds of retail or treatments across the week as well. So, you know, you can change this system to whatever. You can give 35% away. Some salons are giving 40% commission. 30% or whatever it might be. You have control of what you want to give away. But any salon owner wants more pence per hour. So if you flip to the next slide, because there will be people on this call now or listening back saying, yeah, but Steve, what are you giving all this retail away and all this sort of stuff? We only make 40%. So this analogy is great. We don't worry about white space as a salon. They want to be busy, but they're not as worried as they were because they have to have clients on our old system to get 35% of their turnover. No clients means no extra commission. This, it increases commission. Sorry, your basic pay. Because if a client cancels, your next client, you maybe upsell, I don't know, 50 quid's worth of whatever. So that's paid for that client sitting back there. Retail and services go under one number. And I've just done a little analogy here. If you're charging, say, £60 for a cut and blow dry and you divide that by 60 minutes, say, you're making £1 a minute. If that stylist upsells, say, a £30 retail product, it's £90. You divide that by 60 minutes, same amount of time, you're seeing £1.50 extra. What salon owner wants £1 when they can have £1.50? And if that, it then incentivizes the team to do more, happy days. And I know there are people saying, yeah, but I don't do that because my retail and all that stuff. But have a look what your retail percentage is. It's probably quite low. And this has increased our retail percentage. The girls want to do more because they can see that actually more they do, the more they can earn. So it's a very fair way of doing a system that is completely different to what anybody else has been doing over the years.
And I think, especially looking at even just seeing it like that, you realize, you know, quite quickly from, you know, if you divide it by that 60, you get the £1. But if you just add on, you know, an average price shampoo of £30, you're already making it, you know, £1.50. And I think as well, if any of, you know, anyone that's listening, in particular, you can find this information actually quite quickly in our reports. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about reports, but even just something very quickly that can be found in our cloud in the dashboard. You know, upsells will show you that. So it might even be worth just later on, just sort of amusing yourself, if any of our shorties listening, just look at it and just think, you know, what Steve was saying, we've now increased it from £1 to £1.50, and that dashboard report in the cloud will show them that. So I just thinking if anyone is watching and wanting to see that, definitely be keeping an eye on those upsells for retail and everything like that for sure.
So what it does, it increases your retail that you're purchasing, and you have to forget about the 40% or 30% you're making on the products, because if it's sitting on your shelf, Chris, you're not making any money anyway.
Yeah.
If it's a 28-day window on your invoice and it's still sitting there after 28 days, it's costing you.
Yeah.
And I went through a real, does this work? Can this work? No, it can't. Well, it does.
Yeah.
Teams that are like running around on a Saturday and saying, oh, I'm on this per hour this week, it's great, I've done this. It's like great to see because they're motivated to do it at the end of the day. Right, if we pop to the next slide, please. Why is data so important? So to show, it shows you where your team are and it shows you where your salon is. And I think, as I said earlier, I'm a great believer in shortcuts and the data that they provide. You know, there is a lot of reports, but the Performance Summary Extended is a great report. We'll talk about it in a second. If you've got no data, no salon, no profit, where do you know where you are? You know, you can't set targets and goals for the team or the salon if you don't know where your data is. So you can't just dwindle across, you know, the week or the month or the year and just hope it's going to get better, because you need to analytically look where you are. We know numbers in any business are scary, but we need to know to track your businesses. So this is just across any business. Doesn't matter what business it is, not just the hair and beauty. And it will make a bigger profit because you might be overspending on stock. You know, we've got a great stock calculator. It will reduce the amount of percentage that you're spending on stock. You know, we use the invoices in Shortcuts to create a stock invoice, and my team get a budget every week, and that's worked out through my system, my Secret to Stock Success, which is on my website. And, you know, that is a saver, because if you're at 10% professional to turnover, and we get you down to 6 or 7, that's increase of profit. And then you're understanding, and you're literally tracking. And when the invoice comes in, Chris, you're not going, oh my God, how much have I spent? I know when the invoice is coming from, we use Laces that are based in Reading. When our invoice comes in on a Friday, I know that invoice is going to match what our stock person has already done. If it doesn't, there's a problem. Maybe something's out of stock, or they've ordered something's been sent, or whatever it will be. So I know each week what our percentage of our stock is. And I think that saves thousands and thousands of pounds. But again, that's data that's using the shortcut system in the way it should be used to give you data. It's not just an appointment system, and it's using it to give you more data. So if we pop to the next one, please. So going back to the question regarding the person that talked about targets and stuff, this is where a majority of our targets come from, is our Performance Summary Extended. And I say there's about 7 that my team are on a weekly basis, and we look at over a quarter, and they all come from here. You know, productivity, how many clients they've seen, what retail they've sold, how many treatments they've got, what their average bill is, what their general turnover is. So this is like something we use really, really, really in-depthly. And these are the reports that go up on a Tuesday. So, you know, Tracy and number 2 will be doing the reports as we speak. So Tuesday morning, they go up and everybody knows where everybody is. And we use a very, very simple red, yellow, green. Red is down on last week. Yellow's the same. Green is you going in the right direction. So we do appraisals. My team want to see green. So when I turn the laptop around and we talk about where they are, they want to see green. And if they see red, they know they're going south. They're not going in the right direction. But we then allow them always to set their own targets. So if one of my stylists was on 24 clients a week and she's doing 22, we say to her, where do you want to be next quarter? I want to get to 24. Okay, so how are you going to drive that? I'm going to drive that through recommend friend card. And how are you going to do that consistently? Every client I'm going to give a recommend friend card. So that's part of her for the next 3 months. She needs to be giving a recommend friend card. Then she becomes accountable for it, Chris, because she wants to get to 24, because she knows if she gets to 24, her revenue goes up, and therefore our hourly rate goes up. So it all marries up. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yeah. So it's not like, when we're not saying to the team, do more and we'll give you less. We're saying do more and we'll pay you more. Yeah. And that's how we advertise. You know, that people can go to our website and we've always advertising for a stylist, because you never know what's going to happen, right? But so on our advert for a stylist, it says, you know, are you being looked after? Are you being paid well? Are you in a salon that looks after you financially? And it basically draws people to us because of all of the systems that we've got. People want to come and work for us because we're giving these bonuses away, you know, whether it's color percentage, bonus, a rebooking, a basic rebooking bonus, you know, rebooking X amount percentage of your clients per week over a month, we give you a bonus. Very, very simple. So it's a superb and probably unused report. And I've got a bespoke one of these. So anybody that works with me, you guys, the shortcuts, thankfully have bespoked it to what I want. So they will drop that in. So it's got extra add-ons to what you're seeing in front of you. But it's such a superb report and probably not utilized enough.
This report in particular is certainly one of my favorites to use alongside. But just people can see on the screenshot, there's so many more things that perhaps as stylists or managers maybe didn't even realize we should be looking at for things just like specific retail clients in comparison to service clients that bought retail, and even, retail upsell people that were actually upsold retail, that didn't have the fear of upselling, and, and even just understanding, where is the majority of your revenue coming in? Yes, we may know it's in services, but is it in color? Therefore, is it in full head of highlights? Do we need to be upselling half head of highlights to full head, T section to half head, and that sort of stepping stone? This particular report, just very quickly, see the categories on the left, will show the monetary value against those categories. So it could even be like, I've spoken to people just, very briefly, and they've said, oh, this stylist that we've taken on says they're going to do loads of gents cuts, or they're going to do loads of, whatever it may be. And this particular report will show them that. So you can see towards the lower half, the value against color. Well, is it against color? Is it against gents cuts? And, as we said earlier, staff will need to be held accountable. And, it's definitely utilizing the shortcuts reports, and in particular, the performance summary extended report to get that kind of data to increase revenue as a whole.
And on the back of what you just said there, if you've got a partial set of highlights and you can upgrade that to a full head on the day, again, that increases your revenue. So why wouldn't you do that?
Absolutely.
Again, it's asking the question. It's asking the question, and I think that's where the scarcity and the fear factor. Oh no, why not? You've got the time, utilize it. If we go to the next one, please, Chris. I think this is just.
Yeah, it's just the whole.
This is the same, isn't it? Really, it's the same. It's the same data. So I'll ask a question to people that are listening. Are you using your client profile cards? Probably not, or CPCs, as we like to call them. Yeah. This is amazing. You need A5 paper, a bit of ink in your printer, print it off. We have A5 boards for each stylist, so that they have all the clients written in. And what we do, we have a team meeting in the morning, and we get the team to put R or T next to them. So R is for retail and T is for treatment. So is this client going to have a retail today? So are we looking at their retail? So this particular client we've got here is what American Crew, have they run out of it? Yeah. So I would sit down with you, Chris, and I'll say, you want to tell your client, I saw you on the 12th of the 7th, 24. That was the last time not when did we see you? Was it 3 weeks ago? You should know. So I saw you on the 12th of the 7th, and let's pretend you bought an American Crew on your last visit. How are you getting on with it, Chris? Oh, I hate it. Why do you hate it? Oh, it's too gloopy. So are you using too much? Let's have a look how much you're using. Oh, you're definitely using too much. You need to use just this amount. Rub it in your hands, make sure there's no white bits on your hands before you put it on your hair, and then, educate your clients on what they're supposed to be using. Are they happy using that product? Because if they're not, they'll never buy anything off you again. Yeah. So if you really didn't like that product, Chris, I'd say, don't worry, bring it in. We'll use it in the salon, and we'll swap it out for something else. So you're looking at what the client actually used, and are they happy with it? And then obviously this will have, if it's a color client, it will have all the color notes on it if the team have updated their notes. It's a massive report, and sitting down with the clients, doing a face-to-face chat with data in front of you, it's just more professional. I use an analogy, Chris, it's like if I was a surgeon and I went into a hospital and I walked into the room and I said, Chris, what leg are we cutting off today? Is it your left leg or your right leg? I don't actually know. Your consultant's going to walk in with a board with all of the information on it and say, right, Chris, you're in for this today. This is your procedure. This is what you're going to be doing. This is how we're going to do it. This is the time in theatre. You'll be in theatre for 2 hours, blah, blah, blah. And then you're in recovery, and I'll come and see you. It's the same thing. But it's a report that I know some of the salons I coach with, our shortcuts, aren't always using it.
Yeah, I agree.
More professional. It just sounds and looks more professional. So yeah, a very, very good one.
I totally agree, and I certainly sort of echo what your analogy about the surgeon. Totally get. We should, using the CPC. We print it out, we're making a note of what we're doing, but we should be looking at that history. We should know when they were last in. I think just also on the back of that, you don't necessarily have to print the CPC out. So, some people do. It's up to you. Some people like having, to write on and things like that. If that's not for you, that's not a problem. It's a very versatile tool. It could be digitalized onto an iPad tablet and other makes and models as well. That's not a problem. We can set that. We can even go as far as to customize them. Own questions. We've got lots of clinics, the pictures, questions, signature boxes, things like that. If that is something you're interested in, if you're wondering where that can be found in your shortcut system, incidentally, my email is actually on the screen there. It's just at the top on this CPC, chris.dan@shortcuts.co.uk. Drop me an email. We can go through setting this up, or I can show you where to print it as well in your shortcut system. It's very, very simple, but totally echo what Steve was saying there. We should be using it, should be knowing the history, knowing what they were using. But yeah, if you want it set up digitalized or you prefer to print it out, drop me an email on the screen there, chris.dan@shortcuts. I can show you how to set that up, make sure you've got whatever you need there. So I just wanted to just jump.
No, great idea, Chris. Absolutely. If you can educate people, that's what it's all about, isn't it? So it's just a great tool, And next slide, please. We're just coming to the end now. So value versus price. Now, I forgot to look up this morning the guy's name, but it's something Jones. And I take everybody to go to YouTube and just type in how to sell a pen into YouTube. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
And he's English and he's talking to American people, and it's about the value of the pen. So the value of my pen here is probably about £1. I can't remember the analogy, but basically if I put this pen in a really nice box, I might sell it for 10 quid. And then if I put this pen in Harrods in London, where the guy with white gloves has to get it out, it's going to cost you 200 quid, 300 quid, but it's the same pen. And that's what he talks about. So it's something Jones is his name. I can't remember his name. I think it might be Phil Jones. Value versus price. And show this YouTube video to your team. I've done it to my team and I've done it to other salons. When I've done an in-salon session, because it is brilliant. Because we look as an industry, where's the camera? There you go. We look at this here. We look at price, and over here we've got value. We don't look at value, and we don't look at price. You have to put the value in front of the price. I mean, I charge £95 for a cut and blow dry, £80 for ladies wet cut. In our area, that's very, very expensive. And Charlie, my number 2, has been with me for 23 years. She charges £80 for cut and blow dry. She's expensive. But if you want a haircut, you go and see her. You want a back-to-back set of foiled highlights, you go and see her, because she is outstanding. Balayage is not her thing, but you go to another stylist to see her. So her value in what she's charging is a high price ticket, because she is so good. So why is this an issue in our industry? I don't understand it, because we need to put the value up here and our price back here. And people talk about pricing and all that sort of stuff. And there's some so easy KPIs that you can use if a stylist has got a high retention rate, high productivity percentage. You can put them up the next level. And then they'll lose a few clients to the next level, but they'll gain higher price clients because they're charging more at a higher level. So they become more busy and earn more and that sort of stuff. But having a strong brand, a consultation script, having standards of performance and staff that staff need to follow is so important about the value of what we do. Clients will always pay for a service. Your brand needs to be seen. in and inside and outside of the salon and on the website and on your socials, because you need to make the value more prominent in your business to price. And if anybody wants, I'm offering up a free chat, Chris, after this slide anyway. If anyone wants to chat, I can just talk about that. It's just something that I find that salon owners are really scared about doing. But if I could say to you, Chris, as a salon owner, there's this data in your system. We can tell you, I can guarantee you, I've done this for about 15 years, even prior to before I even sort of walked into the coaching world. I knew the data that my team needs to do to be able to put them up to the next level and not to be scared about the increase, because they've got massive retention rates and a high productivity. So I know I can move them up without many clients dropping down, or maybe some clients don't come back, but they weren't part of our brand, our 4-point guarantee.
Yeah.
So going back to the brand again, it's all, so there's a whole cohesion of, I call it my melting pot, and you've got a massive pot in front of you and you're just stirring it up and stirring it up. And you've got all these things going on. It makes it work. And I know that salon owners are petrified about putting prices up, but we need to show the value of what we're doing. We are excellent at what we're doing. So please put your prices up. Well, if you're scared, you know, maybe it's time for a chat, because there is a way of doing it without, you know, and Shortcuts have got the tools and we've got the reports and we can show them exactly what to do. So, you know, the value is so important. So don't be worried about the price. And if the client walks, you know, like we talked about the client at the very beginning, that client buys from the internet. He or she is not part of our brand. She'll still come and get a haircut every 6 weeks or 8 weeks, or whatever it is, but they're not a true brand person. So that's it, Chris. Last slide is, if anybody wants to chat, I'm more than happy to have a chat. That's my information. Any questions?
Perfect. I think that's very, very insightful, Steve. That's brilliant. Lots and lots of stuff. I think definitely, you know, make sure you're following Steve on his Instagram, also as us as well. You can see Steve Hilliard Coaching, and ours as well, Shortcuts UK. Just while we just wait for the questions to come in, Steve, I did have a couple. I won't go back to the slide, but I think when we were discussing specifically on the very in-depth consultation, I think it's something that we've all probably heard, and I'm very much against it, but that the very colloquial "same as usual," or are we doing the same as the norm? You know the one I mean.
Oh dear, yeah. My team aren't allowed to do that. That might pop in because they're busier. Same as last time. Why are we saying that? You know, because if a client wants a fringe and they could be thinking about a fringe cut in, and you just say same as last time, you're not opening your client up. So go back to the very first few slides. Open your client up to, are you looking for any changes today? No, I'm quite happy. Great, okay. Saw you in 6 weeks' time. Yeah, do you know what? I'm thinking about a fringe. Oh yeah, a drop fringe would look lovely on you. It's great. I can show you how it will look, and da-da-da-da. And they go to the basin, they have their hair washed, and then they're thinking, I don't really want a fringe, I don't really want a fringe, I don't want a fringe, I don't want a fringe, I don't want a fringe. You come back, are you sure you want the fringe? Actually, no, I've decided not. Okay, no worries. But you're giving that client the option. Same with colour, same colour as last time, we're not allowed to use that. You know, if you want the same colour, that's fine, but do you want a little bit of copper put through it? Do you want to make it a little bit darker? Do you want a root stretch? You know, whatever it might be. So we've got to open that up, and I think it's a sit down session. I think we took about 2 hours as a team to go through the consultation, and it's like, get a script for your salon, make it bespoke to your salon, and get the team engaged. So get them to agree what you need to be saying. Don't dictate and say, this is art, I want you to say this, because you won't get the culture change. You won't get the collective I want to be part of. It's their script, but you have like a mission to get what you want out of it, which would be a consultation script. So if someone's not actually performing and doing a consultation script, You can put them in and say, well, we spent all this time doing it. You're not actually doing it. You're saying the same as last time. Remember, we want to ask these open questions.
I totally agree. It's almost like, because I've heard it before, you know, people have said, "Oh, we're just doing the same as norm," and you know that sort of terminology. But it's such a conversation stopper. Like you said, we're not opening up, you know, the client's potential things, and it's almost like you're the for me that sort of subconsciously says to the client, like, well, I don't really want to do anything different, and therefore I'm not gonna potentially offer retail or treatments because I'm kind of already saying, should we just do the same as normal? Therefore, I'm not going to do anything different. I'm not going to, you know, increase my level of service. I'm not going to discuss retail. I'm not going to discuss treatments or take home. And already you've sort of closed,
Correct.
you know, in on that client, and you've lost a lot of opportunity for that £10 treatment or that Olaplex or Wellaplex or Fiberplex or any other kind of treatment,
100%.
anything like that.
So it goes back to, and clients will walk if they're bored with you and what you're doing, and you're not offering anything else, and they've been to the pub and friend said, "Oh, well, I had a change of colour. My stylist," my stylist don't do that.
Yeah.
It's how it works. And going back to the, you know, even to the recommend a friend, and going back to the 68% of clients want to know what we're using, but are embarrassed to ask. Our job to tell them, and our job to close. But it's not a sales driven industry. People don't like doing it but if you can then say, well, actually, if you sell more and you're going to earn more, happy days. And I think that's the 10% culture of selling, is like, people don't get excited about selling a shampoo and getting 10%.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
So you have to be different, right? And the first slide says we have to be different, and making changes is really hard. And, you know, me as a coach, you know, I've had to make changes. I've had to change the way I work with people, and change that, and get people's more vision to do this than that, because it's really easy to keep doing the same as what you did yesterday or the day before. And to actually make the changes is really hard.
Absolutely.
But you get the results.
Is there any other questions? Anybody? I mean, if you want to, we always say we can make this a discussion. If you want to unmute yourself, or you prefer putting it in a chat, that's perfectly fine. Or if you want to email us individually, obviously we've got Steve's email there. Or you can email me, the chris.dan@shortcuts.co.uk, DANN at Shortcuts. If you want to pop some questions across now, feel free to. This will be uploaded to YouTube. Steve, I'll make sure it's sent across to you, and Tracy as well, anything like that. That'll be in the next couple of hours, but do watch that. Do make sure you subscribe to us, and everything like that. But yeah, I think it was very, very insightful, and I certainly agree. I think people should be utilizing everything that they've got at their disposal with their staff, with the treatments, with upselling KPIs. And also, as well, if you're worried about implementing that, I know everyone watching, obviously all Shortcuts users, if you're worried about implementing that into Shortcuts, or if you're not sure about reports, obviously we spoke about a few. I know we discussed about setting up wages, which I think was a really, really great point. We can do all of that in Shortcuts. You know, if you're worried about, I haven't got time to calculate it, or, you know, I don't know, you know, am I going to get it right? Utilize your Shortcut system, you know, in exactly the same way. You know, let us set the wage calculator up. But yeah, I definitely think, just in watching this, you know, I really, the positives of, you know, yes, we're scared of the rejection, or we're worried about people saying no, and yeah, it probably will happen. You probably will get the odd person that says no about retail, but, you know, we could look about other things. You know, the treatments, the £10 treatment we spoke about, and if we're still unsure about it, like you said, Steve, you know, why are they coming to us? Why are they coming to me? We should really be, you know, taking that second and, you know, saying to our staff, you know, why, you know, and then building from there.
Definitely. Couldn't agree more.
Perfect. But we went a little bit over, so that's not a problem. So we didn't lose anyone, but if we did, video is going to be on YouTube, not a problem. You know, obviously share it with your team, get them watching it, seeing exactly why we're hyped up and pumped up for this. But I'll just wait just a couple more seconds. any more questions, anything anyone want to add, any more questions for Steve or me or whatever it may be. But yeah, a lot to take away. I thank you ever so much for taking your time
I loved it.
to speak with us. Really, really appreciative. We really appreciate that. Perfect. I think.
Thanks for having us, Chris. Appreciate it.
No worries. Well, I always think like if we didn't get any questions, I say, Steve, I think you answered everything. Just as I say that, someone puts a question, I'd say just to say thank you. Yeah, it's all good. It's always the way that you think someone's going to drop a question in there at the last second. But yeah, like I said, I think you've got for everything, you've answered everything. So yeah, but obviously if you want a free discovery call with Steve, the information's on there. If you want to drop us an email, you can do. But yes, once again, Steve, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. It's been brilliant.
Excellent, thanks.
Lovely. So I think that's it for everyone this afternoon. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Do join us on Facebook, social, everything like that. And we will both see you all again soon. For both of us, have a lovely rest of your day, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.